Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a different video for you. I've got a guest on my channel, which is not something I do very often, but I was very intrigued to get a message from Mark from Niche Website Builders. He said he'd got some data that he'd analysed from over 5,000 websites, and he's now able, apparently, to answer that mythical question, what do I need to do to earn X amount of money? Sounds interesting. That definitely caught my attention, and I thought in today's video we'll have a chat with Mark and find out what it's all about. But before I do, I just want to show you some of the Black Friday deals that Niche Website Builders are doing, and all the links to everything I show you and talk about in this video will be in the description. So if you want to take advantage of all the Black Friday deals Niche Website Builders are offering this year, you can head over to their website. Link is in the description. There's good discounts on content, and there's also discounts to the digital PR service that Mark's going to talk about in this video. So grab yourself a Black Friday deal. It won't last long. Links are in the description. So welcome to the channel, Mark. How are you?
Very good, thanks, Carl. How's you? I know you're not too well at the moment. So.
Yeah, every time I do like a live or a video, it always seems to be that I'm poorly. Yeah, it's. I think my wife works with children in a teaching environment. I think she brings home lots of bugs and germs. So yeah, I'm not too good at the moment. But I wanted to get you on the channel because you sent me a very interesting message, and I think you know I'm a bit of a data geek, and I love information and data and crawling through all that knowledge. So you said something about a data project you've been doing. So do you want to tell my audience about that? What have you been up to?
Yeah, so we've been building. We've been basically doing some analysis on around. We've got to around 5,000 sites. We've got another 10,000 sites we kind of want to bring into the data set, but we've got around 5,000 sites at the moment. And the goal behind analyzing this data was to like really get some insight into different niche sites and why some perform better than others. And a common question that we get asked is, how do I get to like $1,000 a month, or how do I get to $5,000 or $10,000 a month? And it's a really difficult question to answer without any kind of insight, because and our answer to that in the past was always, well, if every niche is different, every site is different, every domain is different. It's just gonna, but keep plugging away. This website investing space is a great investment, but you just got to keep at it. Don't give up too soon. And it's a bit of a crap answer, really, because no, it doesn't. It's not really anything definitive. So what we did was we analyzed these 5,000 sites, so we can actually say, you know what, on average within this niche, to get to $1,000 a month based on just ad revenue, because everyone has different affiliate deals or different, if they sell products, they're going to make income different ways. But if we're just talking about pure ads, so it's almost like the minimum you can kind of earn, then you're going to need this many, on average, the sites have this many posts and a domain rating of this. And then that gives you kind of a bit more of a roadmap of where to get to. And also people are coming to us now and they're saying, we're finding that their sites are like performing below average, for example. So they might have 300 posts on their site, but they've got a DR of like 2 or 3. And we can say, well, on average, where you are on our graph and on our chart, in our data, you're clearly lacking domain rating. We need to build some links rather than keep building more content. So it kind of gives you some a bit of a roadmap of like, where should I be directing my attention? If I've only got a limited budget, where should I be focusing that budget, essentially?
Yeah, I mean, you're answering that mythical question that I get asked, and probably everybody on YouTube around affiliate marketing and creative passive income kind of niche gets asked all the time. How do I make $1,000 a month? How do I make $500 a month? It's that, that everybody wants you to give them kind of a definitive, okay, you need 100 posts, you need 1,000 words on each post, you need to leave it for 6 months and you're done. And we know that it's just, pie in the sky because they've not done the data, they've not analysed the numbers. And I can tell you my experience and how many articles I wrote to get to that, but, did I have some luck on the way? Did I have an article that went viral? Or, it's very, very difficult to actually give somebody that answer. We always say, how long's a piece of string? You just don't know. But it looks like you guys have done a lot of research into this, so you've got some more definitive numbers. So have you got anything you can show us? Have you got any numbers you can share with the audience?
Yeah, go ahead. If you share the screen, I'll take you through, our thinking around this and kind of the stuff that we've been able to glean from the data as well.
Yeah, great. Let's do that.
Yeah, so we analysed 5,000 sites. So I say, this is the reason, one of the main reasons that we did it, to answer the question, how do I get to 5k, 10k, 1k a month, for example? What's the DR and post requirements for that? And the other things that we kind of, as we were kind of working through this, that we kind of realised that it's really useful for is niche research. You're able to find out which sites are doing well and why. So if you're looking at a specific niche and you're saying, well, these ones are overperforming the average, you can then go and dig into them and go, well, why are they overperforming the average? How have they structured their site? What type of, how have they written their content? What kind of links have they got? So you can kind of do some more analysis then on specifically on the niches. Also allows us to uncover sub niches that maybe wouldn't be obvious or you hadn't considered. So, for example, if we're seeing a site is kind of overperforming the average, we kind of dig in and go, like they've got this really like uncompetitive sub niche that they're like killing, and where a lot of their traffic is coming from. So it kind of gives us that kind of insight as well. The other thing is our tomb raiding technique, which I think we've spoken about before, Carl, which is where we kind of pick up a whole bunch of sites and we work out, using a little bit of math based on industry metrics, who is a more authoritative site than us and who is a lesser authoritative site than us. And for those ones that are weaker than us, well, if they could rank for certain articles, then why can't we? And then we kind of go after those articles or keywords that they're ranking for. Also, for sites that are for sale, if you're looking at to buy a site, we can actually then benchmark it against our data and say, well, how many, what is the authority of the site? How many articles has it got? Is it performing above or below average? So that's kind of an interesting insight as well.
So if somebody was interested in buying a website, then you can say kind of for what content that's got on there, that's underperforming. So you could, right, okay.
Yeah, so maybe the content isn't the best. Maybe the way that they structured their articles isn't the best. Maybe that's an opportunity. Maybe we can drill in and then go, okay, well, you know what? They're missing this as part of the maybe it's like an FAQ section or something like that they're missing, or they haven't got FAQ schema on their site or something like that. And then you can kind of, maybe that's an opportunity then that you can see, well, they're underperforming, but looking at all the other sites in that niche, we can see, well, this is the differences.
Sure. Makes sense.
And also, as I mentioned, helps us understand where we should focus our efforts. It gives us that roadmap of, well, we've got enough content to be getting to that $1,000 or $2,000 a month. We're just lacking in the domain authority, or vice versa. We've got a decent authority, and that happens sometimes with the age domains that we work on. We're starting with a good domain with a good authority. We just need to build the content to get to the level that we want to get to. So I'll kind of show you what we've got to date. So what I'm showing here, so I've hidden a cell here, which has got all of the sites that we've kind of included in this, but we basically did a lot of research to find lots and lots of content sites, and we haven't actually kind of given all of them a niche yet. We need to kind of we're still going through that process. So this is still early-ish phases, earliest time in the data. But then we can see that we've got, how many pages, what's the authority, how much traffic are they getting, and then we put them in bandings of what their traffic levels are. So this one's in the 50 or 250k level. Yep. So what we can see when you're looking at all sites combined, if we're just, again, remember, we're just talking about ad revenue here, based on an EPMV of 25. So if we're talking about EPMV of 25, what we can expect if we want to get to, say, $1,000 a month and this is covering all of the niches, right? This isn't niche specific at this rate. This is just all of the sites that we have in the database. So on average, you need to get to a DR35, to have 383 pages, and that will get you to the $1,000 a month just with ads.
Just with ads, yeah.
And don't forget, this is Ahrefs data. Sorry, I should have mentioned this is Ahrefs data. Ahrefs often underreports the amount of traffic. So this is probably like a pessimistic view to some extent, because the traffic on average is probably higher. It's getting better, I've noticed, the accuracy of that, but often it's 2 or 3 times higher than what's realistic. But this is kind of more of a pessimistic view, I guess. But this kind of gives you something to work towards, right? And if you want to understand, if you want to get to it's $3,000 a month, actually the step up from there is actually not so much different. So it's 35 to 42. So not a whole lot of difference there in the authority, and not even, what was that, 2/3 again, the area of content. So we can get from 1,000 to 2,000 by adding 2/3 of the content that we've already got on the site, essentially. And again, these step ups actually aren't very big at all. 35, 42, 46. So we've gone from 400 but to 800. So we doubled it there, but we almost, what was it, 6x the revenue in terms of revenue there. That really gives you an idea that you've got to start, keep going with the content, because what this is showing is that you're going to get better and better returns. I guess you're becoming more of the authority. Google's trusting you more because you've got more content in different areas. But this kind of shows that the more content and the more links that you do have, that it's sort of it isn't linear. Like, it's more exponential in terms of like the benefit you can kind of get from that.
Yeah, I've always had this question in my head with domain rating or so-called authority, whether it does actually have a ranking factor over the traffic. So I noticed that you had a couple of pet sites listed on there. One said 748 posts, other said 560 posts. And that was saying like traffic around 200,000 traffic, DA 40 something. Well, I've got two pet websites, both over that DA with similar amounts of content, getting nowhere near that traffic. So I know you're always going to get outliers, and I know your data is from 5,000 different websites, but I'm going to ask you straight out then, do you think domain ratings, the DR of a website, really has that much of effect over the traffic?
Well, I'll tell you what, we haven't planned this, but I'll show you these graphs.
Yeah.
Domain rating, this graph is domain rating versus monthly visitors. So if you kind of take a look, so I mean, this graph is kind of, what's the word? Is it exponential? I don't know, maybe if that's the right word, or not linear. But so this obviously is different. What you can see is the higher the DR here, which is along the bottom, and the more traffic that you get kind of in general, like over time. So you can see that there's kind of a clear kind of correlation there. We haven't got so many sites down at this bottom end because we only started with sites really that have got 25,000 in traffic. So some of these sites have got 25,000 in traffic, but they're below a DR5. You can kind of see that kind of correlation there between DR versus traffic. I mean, obviously DR is a third-party metric, but we know that links matter, right? Links are important, and we can kind of go into that a little bit actually in a little bit. But the other graph I've got here is the number of pages versus monthly visitors, which again kind of makes sense that the more pages that you have on your site, which is along the bottom, the more monthly visitors that you kind of get in general.
That's that. The thing is, I can't argue kind of with data because you've done the research. This is not just you saying, yeah, you need a big DR on a website to rank and get traffic. I've got one site that's doing that. This is 5,000 sites analysed that's showing you a pattern. I'm a big believer in patterns. Things don't usually happen for a reason. You get the odd random one, but usually when there's a pattern to it, there's a reason for me to take note and listen up. So that graph does show you there that, and I guess when you do get to a certain authority, it usually means you've put a lot more work into it. You've got a lot more content. You've maybe done a lot more outreach. You've gained those organic or paid for backlinks. And that overall will improve your authority and should get you higher up the rankings, SERPs rankings, and therefore bring you in more traffic. So it does kind of correlate. So I can see where that does tie in. Like I say, but I've had the odd outliner where I've had a really high domain rating and not done anything, but I've had ones that's had I've got one at the minute that's got, I think it's about 15, a DR rating of like 15, and it outperforms like lots of bigger sites without.
I mean, that's what this shows, right? There's some outliers here. This one's got a DR of 9, and yet it's got nearly 750,000.
Exactly, yeah. You do get the odd one, but you can see there how few and far between those are. There's like 4 dots there.
Yeah, out of all of the ones that we've looked at, yeah. It's the same here. Like there's fewer dots up at this end in terms of the number of pages versus traffic.
Yeah.
But I mean, what we have seen is that you can. So I've done it myself. Like you can have a low DR and get lots of traffic, but often I've seen that not necessarily sustained over time. So you'll see that, and maybe it'll kind of then like come back down like over time, not through an update or anything like that necessarily, but just through whether Google's kind of rebalancing
Yeah.
your authority, your perceived authority or trust. Yeah, so I mean, I guess the other thing to show here is that we've only got food that's got 615 sites. So a lot of these yet don't have the right number of sites. Pets has got 312, but the data kind of ends up. This is very data specific. But what we have found of the sites that do have a good volume of sites that makes the data credible is that it kind of ends up being reasonably similar to how all of the sites combined are kind of shaping up.
Yeah.
I mean, this one actually looks like at the bottom level here, you only need a DR12 with 96 pages to be getting around 600, but then it jumps up very quickly. Whoops, just messed that up. Jumps up very quickly to 43 here.
Yeah.
Before you can get to the $1,000. I mean, it's still not. That's why we're getting more sites into this to make sure it kind of adds up.
Yeah.
But what we have found is like we end up with a kind of similar sort of pattern between the domain rating and the number of pages that you need.
So click on gardening then, because I've got some data in my head with gardening. So obviously, my latest public case studies around gardening. So I have some numbers in my head what mine's earning. So I'll just let me have a look if yours
this is only 139
correlates
sites
to what I've got. Yeah.
So it's 139 sites, so it might not be.
Yeah, well, it's still a good number of sites to analyze. Is that yeah?
Yeah.
So DA so you got DA there of 35 with 436 posts.
Yep.
Should get your traffic around 87,000 page views. $2,400.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to think on mine. So I think mine is around 40 DA. It's got around probably about 900 articles on there, although a lot of them are pretty new. So what you've got 679 there, which is probably fairly near. So I would say mine's probably in that bracket, the 679 one. Page views, 195,000. To be fair, I think in the summer, mine will be getting that. Obviously, it's out of season at the moment. And $5,381. Do you know what, Matt? It's not actually that far off. I think that, obviously, there's outliners and there's averages. I would say mine next year will be around DA 46. It will have more than 679 pages. It should have the same amount of traffic, and I would be expecting around that $4,000 to $5,000 mark. So yeah, I mean that does look pretty accurate, to be fair, on that one. Yeah, it's interesting. Very interesting.
This has been great for us. Just customers coming to us and going, look, I just want to take my site to the next level.
Yeah.
And we just look at this and go, well, we need to put some links, or we need to create some more pages.
Yeah.
And so it just helps. It just gives you a little bit of something to aim for.
Yeah.
Which is great.
So do you get people asking you, okay, then you've done all this data, which is the easiest niche for me to get $1,000 a month? I bet you're going to get that question a lot now, aren't you?
We probably will, but actually, like I said, barring things like casino and other things like that, barring these kind of more generalized niches, you're going to find it's pretty similar. Like there's going to be a slight differences, and that's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
but they're all hard work. You're not everyone. When people ask that question, they're looking for the magic bullet. They're like looking for you to reveal the secret niche that you know about that no one else knows about. That they can.
I always worry whenever anybody comes to me, whether it be friends or family. A few of my friends are now in this kind of business, and a few of them, they scare me to death when they come and say, how long will it take for me to earn $1,000 a month, and how much am I going to invest, and how much am I going to have to write? And I say you're asking all the wrong questions. Literally, that is the wrong questions. For me, you just need to be passionate about creating your business first and foremost. You want to be, enthusiastic about growing it, providing helpful content, satisfying some criteria for search and user experience, and then the money will come. The page views will come, the money will come. Yeah, I mean, like I said, at least you've got some data now to kind of give them a rough idea, which is really good.
Yeah.
So Matt, when somebody comes to you then and they say, okay, I've got this website now and I want it to take it to this level, what do you have? Do you have a service that can help them do that? Do you have any guidance? What do you have that can help them get to that next level?
Yeah, well, obviously we do a lot of content for our clients, but one of the newest services that we're offering, which is digital PR,
Right.
which historically has been out of reach for. Oh, it's something that people building niche sites is not something that we'd consider being for us.
No, no.
But
When you said digital PR, I think you're going to market me on Instagram, or I'm going to be famous on TikTok or something.
yeah, so I mean, I've got another thing to share again, if you'd
Yeah,
like,
let's have a look at that.
on
Yeah.
this digital PR for niche sites. So a couple of things there to think about and to cover, and why it actually does apply for niche sites, and why we think we've really struck onto something that we want, and I think everyone else will want. So, we'll talk about just briefly what is digital PR. So we're not going to be marketing you on Instagram. Don't worry, Carl. But why is it the premium choice for link building? We talk about building your moat, and if you're not familiar with that term, then talk to you a little bit about it. And everyone talks about their moat in different ways. There's
Yeah.
a specific way that we talk about our moat. And then isn't digital PR just for big brands? Isn't it just vanity metrics and just some information on how we do digital PR, so that hopefully you can kind of take it away and do that.
When you're talking, just to be clear, so when you're talking about your moat, you're basically on about protecting your assets. So not being vulnerable to somebody coming along and saying, right, you're ranking for this, that, and that. I'm just going to take all that away from you.
Yeah, let me jump on. Actually, let me do this bit first, and I'll tell you about the building the moat bit. Yeah, so why is it the premium choice for link building? Well, you acquire links from the biggest, most reputable publications in the world. So you can't get any better than links from Forbes, BBC, MSN, CNN, LA Times, New York Times, Stylist, etc., right? So these are pretty much as white as it gets. They're squeaky clean.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anybody can deny you get a link from these type of publications, a genuine link on your site. It's gonna help.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you what, when we're working with H domains, if they've got some of these links sprinkled in, I feel much more confident about that domain taking off.
I mean, I purchased my Age domain for it literally had 4 unbelievable links. I think they're like DA99. I had 4 links like DA90 or 99, something silly, and I literally would have paid the money just for those 4 links. It was only a couple of $1,000s, but those links alone was worth that.
Honestly, yeah, you're absolutely right, and we found that having those links is just a game changer.
Yes.
But I think it will make you happy in a minute then. So building your moat. So links matter, right? We've kind of established that links clearly matter. Google sees them as a vote of confidence. They sees them as, people are linking to you. They must have something worth linking about. Moreover than just links, you've got to talk about quality links. And again, the links we're talking about here are of the highest quality. Like, these are the ones that are really going to move the needle, that are really going to make a difference. So by building these links, you make it really hard for your competitors. So people like us who do tomb raiding or whatever, well, if you've got these top tier links, you've got a higher authority site, they're not going to go after you. That you're much harder to go after and to beat in the SERPs if you've got these better links, right? So it provides you some protection from competitors trying to outrank you basically in the SERPs. But also,
Mark, you're exactly right, because when everybody does research, usually through learning on YouTube, everybody's told to go after these sites with a lower DA. If it's 20 or less, go after it. You can beat it. You can outrank it. So I'm one of those who always kind of preach that as well. And if I was searching, I find a keyword that I think is vulnerable, but then I see there's the top 3 sites are DA 40 and above, I kind of stay away. I don't even really look at it or entertain it. So it does protect you a little bit.
Well, just the number, but also the fact is that you are going to be harder to knock, because Google is going to see you as a more trustworthy site because you've got the links from these huge publications. So it's not just about the number; it's about the fact that they could try and knock you down, but they've got to get those links as well if they want to.
It's killing 2 birds with 1 stone, isn't it? It's that 50% of the opportunists will be fended off because they're taught not to even go after a site with a DA like that. And then also, like say, Google is also kind of protecting you as well, because it goes, I see you as the authority, so I'm not going to let them, attack you. I'm going to keep you above. So yeah, I like that.
That's it. So yeah, I mean, links really help with each. Is exactly what we were just saying there. So if you've got links from highly trusted sites, then in turn, Google's going to favor you and trust your site more as well. So this should give you some insulation from updates as well. If you've got links from these authority sites, you're going to be seen much more as a trusted site. So overall, this is going to make your asset much more solid and desirable as well. It should help you, avoid those peaks and troughs of the updates, but also people are going to look at your site. If you were looking to sell your site down the road and see you've got these links, that's going to make your site much more desirable and be able to demand a higher multiple. So really, we're protecting ourselves from competitors and from Google actually as well. So that's what we call building our moat, getting these links around around our site essentially.
Yep.
So we've always thought of digital PR as being for big brands, because normally you think about big creative campaigns that cost a lot of money because of all the effort that goes into them. But we've been working on how can we offer this to content publishers at a price that kind of makes sense, that doesn't have huge amounts of creative that is within reach of everybody, essentially. So top tier links for everybody. Isn't it just about vanity metrics? Yeah, it really depends, like, who you're working with. Like, if you're big brands, do care about their brand awareness, they care about impressions, the number of eyeballs looking at it. They can't necessarily marry that back to sales potentially, but they do sometimes care about that. They care about that kind of stuff. As content site publishers, we don't care about that so much. We're not in it for the vanity metrics. Like, no one's going to recognize our brand, our website once they've seen it and gone away again. It's not like Nike or Puma or something like that. But we care about rankings, traffic, and ultimately earnings. So we can, leverage digital PR to boost our SEO. There's a number of ways that we do this, but digital PR is the most effective backlink strategy, just because of the quality of the links that you can get. So the way that we do it, and the way that we recommend people go about it if they want to, we have like a 3-step process. So we kind of identify where the opportunity is. So this is how we're talking about how, really using digital PR for SEO and for ranking. So we look at in a similar way that you would do for link building anyway. You would go, what topics or what keywords am I ranking for on page 2 of Google or the bottom of page 1? What could really do with a little bit of a boost to push me up onto the top of the first page and really start ranking? So we'll do some analysis on the site, and we say, well, you've got all of these kind of different topic areas within your site, but this one we think's got the most potential, because if we start driving more links to this and driving up this topic area, then you're going to get a whole lot more traffic and get higher up in the SERP. So we really focus. We do one campaign every 3 months, and we focus all our attention on one topic silo.
Topic relevancy is a really big thing. It's something I'm really kind of passionate about, especially with newer sites. They kind of spread themselves too thin, go after everything. So I do like the idea of really targeting down on that topical relevancy and authority. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and then we think about like the kind of person, who are the kind of person that's interested in these topics, and then we kind of tailor the content ideas, because we've got to think about kind of what publications that we're going to be in. So we just draw up some personas about, here's the kind of people that we expect to be visiting your site, that are interested in the content that you create for your niche site, and here's the kind of the publications the type of publications, I guess, that we'll go after, that will kind of work and would fit for the niche that you're working with. And then finally, we go to the way that we kind of deliver on the digital PR. So we have to build a media list. So we have to work out who are all the journalists that are talking about a specific topic. And we've got access to some media databases where we can kind of search for editors that are in the gardening space, for example, that you were mentioning earlier, Carl. So anyone that does the rights for the gardening section of their publication, we can put all of those into a list. Then we can do keyword searches as well for people that have searched on, I don't know, maybe gardening's not a good example there, but like Brexit or some other kind of keywords that we could use. I suppose we could use it for gardening when you're talking about when to plant stuff in spring and all that stuff. But we can use keyword searches as well to kind of build our journalist list. We look at what we call reactive campaigns. So we'll look at what's going on in the media, and we'll try and base something on what's happening in the media and fit it around your site. So an example I always give is fuel prices have been going up. We'll take a look at Google Trends and find maybe that 5 times more people are searching for electric cars than were prior to the fuel prices going up. So that's just something that you can kind of build a story around. That's a piece of data that's interesting. So we normally kind of jump on every morning. Our team has what we call media mornings, where they'll go through all the news and all the sites and try and pick out for clients, for customers, like how can we make this, how can we find some data or something interesting, a story that we can then go and send out to journalists that are talking about this topic.
So can you react that quickly to it? Because yeah, I mean, I've just come back from a conference recently, and everybody was big on kind of news and little short 200, 300, 400 word news posts, getting them out quick, getting that viral traffic, even though it's not evergreen, it drops off. But that instant bump in traffic, and attracts attention, attracts the bigger brands, opens doors for you to get those links because you're the quickest out of the gate. So can niche website builders react that quickly then?
Yep, we do it the same day. So that's why we have the media mornings in the morning, and then the same day we then go and build the campaigns for the journalists and reach out to them. Right. So it all happens immediately. It has to, because it's topical. The good thing about this versus like a Haro, we've been doing Haro for a while, and actually we've closed that service now, and we're moving into digital PR, because Haro, journalists are coming to you saying, I need an gardening expert that understands, I don't know, about bulbs or daffodils or whatever. And then if you respond to that journalist, if you're lucky, you'll get a link back. We'll only get one. Whereas what we're doing is we're coming up with a similar sort of story, but then we're pitching it out to like 300 journalists, and hopefully 10, 20, 30 of them will pick it up. So instead of getting one link, we're getting 10, 20, 30 links from these different publications, because we're controlling the story essentially. So send assets and stories out to the media. Lamb wants the links, and that's the daily media mornings that I mentioned. So reactive is one of the, we call that reactive campaigns or newsjacking. But there's another one that we'll do is what we call data campaigns, where we'll go away and we'll find a data set from wherever. It might be government data, it might be Google Trends data, it might be Ahrefs data. We'll pull it all together and maybe make some pretty visuals out of it, and then we'll send that out to journalists as a story, and try and get as many as we can of them to pick it up as well. Oh yeah, here you go. I didn't jump too soon. Anyway, and the third one is expert commentary. So expert commentary is a bit more like the Haro one. And a journalist is requesting some help in a specific area, and then we kind of will respond to them as the expert and kind of get a link placed in that way. So yeah, I've already mentioned this, that we focus on one category or topic at a time for the campaigns. Laser focused, topically relevant links to the pages on your site that will really make a difference. But also, of course, that's going to help your domain rating. So these are some of the stories that they kind of managed to kind of put together. So what's the catch? So, good things never come easily, right? If it's hard, then it's hard for a reason. Journalist databases are expensive. There's journalist databases like things called Muckrack, Roxil, Meltwater, Cision, but they're not cheap. They're thousands of dollars at a time to try to use those. Reactive PR is timely, as you mentioned, then Carl. If you're a busy person, a lot of the stuff comes from the reactive stuff that we're working on. If you haven't got time to just look at the news and then respond immediately, you're going to miss out on lots of opportunities.
Yeah.
PR is also time consuming. There's a lot of work that goes into building those databases, to building the story, doing the research for that. And if you're doing the data projects, like building that data set, crunching the numbers, and coming out with some newsworthy information. And PR is about relationships as well. Actually, we managed to pick up, we're starting to build relationships with journalists now, where they know our name and they know that we provide quality work, and they almost go, they just wait, they look for our name in their mailbox. If they see our name, they know that we provide good work, and they're probably going to get a good story out of what we've produced. So they'll actually start using us. And then we've also had journalists that actually just reach out to us now and say, oh, have you got, like huge publications? Oh, can you just give some information on this? And it really is about relationships. So the more the time goes on, and Jack and Jake have got connections over, they've got 11 years combined experience with them. They've already got loads and loads of connections where people are coming to them for stuff all the time, or they can reach out to them and they know them on a one-to-one kind of personal level.
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit, Matt, I think for anybody, the majority of people on my channel and the size of their websites and their businesses, the actual digital PR themselves it's just a non-starter. It just really is. To do it themselves, I've tried it way back in the beginning. I reached out to a few people, and it's weeks and weeks and weeks of work to try and get like one article or one links in a publication somewhere. I just found it absolutely draining. I'll be honest, it was just a part of the industry that I knew I needed to do, but I just really couldn't be bothered. It is so hard work. And then you look back and you think, will that one link I get really make a difference on my business, on my website, when I could
Yeah.
have published 30 articles in that time it's taken me to get that one link? It just doesn't. It just doesn't. It's not worth the time. But companies like yourself, if you have this service where, like you said, if you can react quickly to that news or that related topic, and get that out there quickly, you can get 20 or 30 links.
Yeah.
Like I say, reactive to that, which is
Yeah.
fantastic.
If you'll permit me, I mean, feel free to cut this, like if you don't have the stream, but I've got some ideas around pricing here. You're saying about the cost of stuff and how much you would have paid for those links just alone.
Yep.
You look at most digital PR campaigns or digital PR agencies, you're looking at $5,000 a month, kind of as a minimum starting point. As I said, we wanted to do something that was affordable, that actually makes financial sense for niche site owners. So we've got our packages start at $1,200 a month. We've got a minimum here, and there really is a minimum, I want to stress that, of 9 links. Because like I said before, we'll do one campaign and we'll end up potentially getting 10, 20, 30 links. I spoke to somebody at Brighton SEO who was a digital PR person, and they, for their customer, obviously this went viral, but their piece of work got 15,000 referring domains because
Wow.
it got picked up by journalists, and then it just went viral, and other journalists were picking up all over the world, and it
Yeah.
just became massive. I'm not obviously not promising that, but just to give an indication, sometimes we'll do a campaign and we'll get 70 links for it in one go from all massive publications.
Yeah, and I think if you're looking at that, even your minimum, if you get 9 strong links,
Well, it's 9 per quarter, right?
per
So
quarter,
just
is
to be
that per
clear on
quarter?
that.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I mean, 9 would make a difference. 1 or 2. I've done it before where I've spent $500 on one link, and it makes no difference at all. But if you get in, 9, 20, 30, they start to matter. Yeah, you definitely see
Yeah.
the difference.
Oh, honestly, well, and those massive links, they make a huge difference. You can go ahead and get 30, 40, 50 average links, and and when you get one link, and it'll have the same effect. From like
Exactly,
the BBC or
exactly.
whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and the packages go up. We just do more. So this is all the reactive stuff that you mentioned, where we do the newsjacking. Number 2 and number 3, packages 2 and 3 are more about we'll create data driven assets for you to reach out to, and they tend to get more links. They're more likely to go viral and get bigger links because we've put the effort into putting together a really important piece of data that journalists love. So often they are the ones that are more likely to get a whole bunch of links associated with them. That's kind of the difference. Is to kind of step up in terms of the amount of content or data that we kind of put together for that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put links in the description to all this information, so everybody can go check that out. So, I mean, so from what you've said and showed me today, you've got the people who's going to look at their website and say, okay, you've done all this research for me. My website in the gardening niche, is not at that point. It has that many posts. It's not got that much traffic. It's not got that much income. So if they're at that point, that's when they can come to you and look at the digital PR side of it to get that site where it should be in correlation with your findings. And then I think then you're going to have the other people who's not got a site at all who says, right, I want to get into this business. I want to make $5,000 a month. I can look at your niches, I can look at your data, and I can see what fits me best. So I think there's 2 ways they can go about it. Starting from scratch, the information you've done and the research you've done is valuable. It's really, really good. And then the people who's in the industry already can then look at that data and see where they need to see where they want to be and how they need to get there.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll start sharing this data publicly. What we're going to get up on our site at some point, so people can go and check it out for themselves and do with it what they will.
I mean, I commend you for doing that data. It must be a lot of work to do that. I definitely didn't envy you doing that. So, I commend you. I don't know anybody else who's done this on that scale. Like I say, I hear all the time of people say, I have 30 websites, I'm going to share my data. But to do 5,000 sites is definitely, like I say, I'm a numbers guy, and you definitely can't argue when you see numbers put in front of you. So, I do commend you for that. So, lastly, Matt, I want to ask this on a personal note. So Black Friday is coming up. Is this service going to be in Black Friday deals, or are you going to offer any deals for my audience on Black Friday?
It is. So it's up to 10% discount on the digital PR. So I think it's 5% as standard, I have to check this, but you'll put the link in the
I will.
description. It's 5%
Yep.
is standard. And I think it's 7.5% if you pay up front for one campaign, which is 3 months. If you pay for two campaigns up front, which is 6 months, then it's 10% off. I think that's how it works. But yeah, we got that, and we've got 20% extra content on all of our content packages as well.
Yeah, because you provide not only this service, it's not just a backlinking or a PR service. You do the content, you do pretty much everything to help somebody with their business get them to where they need to be. So, I mean, I have sites. I'm always tempted to just kind of say, "Hey, Mark, there's the site. There you go. Off you go. There's my budget. Crack on and see where we get with it." Because I do have sites that underperform. I do look at those numbers in the pet niche specifically that you've just said. I think I'm not there. I have that much content, but I'm not there financially or traffic numbers. So it's really interesting to see, if you can just, put a budget on it each month, $1,200, whatever that may be, whatever you can afford, and see where you can take it. It is really interesting to see if, those results can be achieved. So, maybe we'll talk off camera. Maybe I'll be taking you up on one of these Black Friday deals.
Okay, awesome. That sounds good.
Well, thanks very much, Mark. I won't keep you much longer. Like I say, all the links to everything Mark has mentioned will be in the description. Please do check out their Black Friday deals. It is the once a year where I do save up a little bit of money and grab myself a couple of deals as well. So, I might be using one of those links myself. So, thanks very much, Mark, for coming on. I really appreciate it. And, we'll see you very soon.
All right. Thanks, Carl. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers, Mark. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.